What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for July 7th, 2025. There are some massive changes to Wicklow and how barters are going to work in Star Citizen. 4.3 was revealed in the roadmap update, and we got a really solid Star Citizen Live for the first time in a long time. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Stop by and say hi if you haven't yet. I really enjoy seeing you guys over there. We have a ton to cover with the PTU patches, so no sponsor this week. You guys know what to do. If you guys want to support, hit the subscribe button, like the video, those kind of things. If you want to go above and beyond, pick up some merch on saltemike.tv, leave a super thanks, or hit the join button. Also, I am a bit under the weather. It's pretty much just scratchy throat. I'm kind of getting over it at this point, but let's get into those patch notes. All right, starting out on Monday, we had a PTU where they did a bit of Wicklow polish, mainly just so you can see the ships. The missions previously weren't showing the name of the ship that you were trying to earn. Now they do. And then they did the cargo mission thing that we saw last week. It's actually in the game where they separate by the amount of cargo that you're moving. Again, a filter would be the end goal here, but this is a good start. I tried to look at what they're talking about in terms of medical supplies, but the prices are in line with previous patches. Same with inventory. So let me know in the comments if you have any information on what this change meant. And then the Volt pistol has a bit of VFX now as well. Nothing special, just it's red, unlike any other Volt weapon, which is weird. And then Tuesday, we had a big overhaul to Wicklow recipes. Now, I'm not sure any CZ card should be used in this, but if you were going to use one, it should not have been card 7. 5 or 6 is your best bet, basically, as it's an arena, and it can't be camped that easily, where 4 or 7, previously they chose 7, was a horrible choice, as one player could block the door and prevent an entire org from getting into Hangar 30. It's really dumb. Then we have the station update. I love the idea that defense turrets are buffed. So just so you know, their damage was 1700 DPS. It's now 25,000. Yes, 25K. I was insta-clapped, and honestly, it felt right. What doesn't is this trespassing thing. They made changes so players can defend themselves, but also allow ship boarders to go unnoticed. A few patches ago, just a few patches ago, they did this. Then they kill it now for a one-time event. What bothers me most here is they're not designing the game for the long term at all here. This is a band-aid to ensure that people don't get too mad during their little event. And that is just not what CIG should be spending time or money on right now. Then there's flight tuning, which is something they should be spending time and money on. I'm not really up to speed on a lot of this, but the MSR was brutal in combat against smaller ships. And if you look at SP viewers changes, they made a number of reductions in larger ships' agility. The Connie, to me, felt okay, and the Guardian felt pretty good, but I don't own many other heavy fighters, so leave a comment and let me know how you're feeling on these changes. Many are saying the F7A Mark II meta is dead with this, but only time will tell. They did even more balance to salvage ships, with the Reclaimer losing efficiency where it was previously more efficient, and now smaller ships are getting higher efficiency. I guess that just means they burn off less RMC when extracting, and maybe this makes sense. Reclaimer has a huge cargo hold. That's its advantage. And then the smaller ships don't, so they are more efficient. And then lastly, they lowered the super high volume on the Volt pistol. Much better. My ears can now hear, which is good. Wednesday, 4.2.1 open PTU. New escort missions are really cool, at least the first time you see them. First off, they aren't labeled as escort missions, so that should probably change. But how it works is this. You defend the area around the asteroid bases, and then a friendly AI either QTs in or literally leaves the hangar at the location. It's really sick the first couple of times. Hopefully we'll see AI coming and going from stations and cities without causing hangar queues, of course. You then take all the new enemies, take out all the new enemies that spawn, and eventually the mission will complete, and it offers you script. They also continue to adjust Wicklow recipes, now asking for basic commodities for a few things, which is cool. Thursday, again, still the 4.2.1 open PTU. Features, the first thing of note is player-to-player interdiction seems to be back. For those that were worried that this upcoming event was going to be purely PvE, the timing of this is pretty good. You might get snared now. I was not able to test this, but my pirate friends say it's pretty consistent over server lines now. They are still trying to nail down why ace pilots despawn, and a little escort narration polish. Now, I spent all morning grinding to find ace pilots, and yeah, we get a note from Luke Presley while I was playing. Ace pilots have a high chance of spawning metals that you need for Wicklow. So when you're looking at those Wicklow recipes going, oh my God, 20 pristine metals, this is crazy. It's not that crazy now because they spawn pretty consistently on those ace pilots. And the ace pilot spawned pretty consistently for me. So feels like a pretty good PvE grind, and good for them for doing that. And then last thing of note is the loading screen. It's really hard to read, but it explains the results of the last event and the new one coming up. So with all that, a huge week, let's move on to roadmap updates where we get even more cool stuff. All right, and for roadmap roundup, they start out with 4.2.1 cards, but all of these are marked as tentative still, which is kind of crazy. They are adding new hairstyles, but it literally just had one at the end that I noticed. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything and you saw any others. The rest of the stuff is related to the event, the system that makes it work, and the armor as rewards. And of course, the Wicklow improvements that we already spoke about. The big stuff they are already sharing is that 4.3 is a thing, and I gotta say, it's weird. Contested cooperative zones is what they're calling it. Think contested zones, but where you have to solve puzzles with friends is how they describe it. The first step of this, I think, is quite cool. If you go to Lazarus, you need 2 people to open the door to get the Ichty there. So they've already done things like this before, so maybe they'll just build on it. They are doing abandoned underground facilities, and on the roadmap itself, it shows a number of ASD locations, so this is a continuation of the story. Next is another vault weapon, but a sniper this time. No details on how it'll work in the roadmap, but in February, we had a full write-up on how it will play out. So going all the way back to this post from Nico, it's apparently an AO3 and a scalpel combined, but you can fire more rapidly as it heats up. The sniper armor is now confirmed, as we saw in a recent sneak peek. The helmet, and once again, this is the sniper armor from CitizenCon 2024 that was said to have the ability to be hard or impossible to see on FPS radar. As you can see, though, no FPS radar mentioned for this patch. The armor is likely to precede that feature, right? Then some medium armor was mentioned as well. Next, we move on to some more hairstyles, and yeah, that we don't know, so... And yeah, the big one is the ladder improvements. Anyone that has ever interacted with a ladder in Star Citizen cheered when they saw this at CitizenCon in 2023, and we finally have a timeline for it. They also mention anti-personnel AI turrets. This is not a sleeper. This is something kind of big because it should allow for more open and free locations in terms of removing armistice zones. If players will be instantly killed by AI turrets, you don't need to lock down what players can do at those locations. Well, maybe not instantly killed, but it should be a bit of a... That's your safety net instead of no combat here at all. It should open up the sandbox a little bit more, maybe. Or, you know, open up the ability to be sneaky and stealthy and steal from people sneakily if you're really, really, really good or really, really smart. But it should be a huge challenge, right? And lastly, mission pickup locations is interesting because it implies that you get to a location and then you see more mission specific to it. So a more organic experience that feels more like you are exploring the universe of the game itself and not exploring your mobi-glass. And of course, more Wicklow missions for ships with the Starlancer TAC Drake Golem, which is the first mining ship added to Wicklow, which is good, and the Terrapin Medic being added. That's the roadmap. Let's move into the monthly report. All right, I skipped a lot of the AI stuff at the beginning because, yeah, the servers just don't handle it still, and they're getting better, but they're still not doing what we see in these updates every month. And yeah, the game intelligence AI team is where we'll start, and they mentioned mission system V2, so that's kind of a thing, I guess, and we'll just kind of stick with that. AI tech, the bottom of the post mentions NPCs reacting to radar pings, which is, you know, as well as driving vehicles. That's something that I hope we see, but again, we see these things. I just always swear this is straight up Squadron 42 stuff that will eventually come to us when, I don't know, servers change completely, I guess. I have no idea. Then for ship art, as always, they start out with the UK. They're still working on the Anvil Paladin. Pre-production started on the Gaktak Raylan, which is a really old alien cargo ship concept with triangle-shaped external cargo, and also pre-production doesn't mean a lot. They mentioned 5 unannounced vehicles, none of which I could figure out or have any clues, so leave a comment if you know any of these. For North America, the Apollo Medevac is in LOD 0 phase, which is the last one they do before destruction, I think, so very close to the end, and the Perseus is in gray box review, so cool on that. And similar to the Raylan, the Drake Kraken entered pre-production, which again doesn't mean a ton, but they did say it will go into full production later this year. I don't own this ship, but this is my most desired ship in Star Citizen because it's the most thing that felt like an org base before they told us that there was base building. So I've always really wanted this one. Core gameplay, it's only listed because it was so short. And this is what happens when they keep doing these big sandbox activities and not focus on stability or features. It literally says everyone was focused on Stormbreaker. That's not okay. Mission design, just like core gameplay, because I'm going back to the other thing. It's not okay because Stormbreaker didn't even release well. It released underwhelming. And the whole team was on it. Just like core gameplay, most of this is just recap for mission design. But right at the end, they said server meshing thing that we will never have missions we are looking for. So as more players enter servers, this will continue to be an issue. So I'm glad that they're addressing it. I'm having these issues right now when I was trying to get the ace pilots, right? Online technology, the main thing here, from what I'm reading, looks like that a database rework of some kind. So maybe we'll have less inventory issues or ships and components disappearing. They also mention an instancing system, which a lot of people want and a lot of others don't. So let me know what you guys think on that. And that's where we'll leave the monthly report. Let's go into the big stuff, video updates. All right, we only had one video, Star Citizen Live earning in the verse. So this episode is all about how we earn things in Star Citizen, but not just money, items as well. So they first explain why they chose not to have everything on the NPC stores in the game.
Where do you draw the line for that's not something that should be available in the store, that's something that should go to one of the other ways that you attain things?
It's very hard to say that there's a clear line. This is where a bit of the art comes in, and at some point you say, okay, this is an exclusive item, or this is something that you should only get into the end game, or maybe a lot of things, not even a maybe, that's going to be a certainty. A lot of things you're not going to be able to just buy from a shop. Because I don't want to make UEC the end all of the game. UEC is something that happens to you, helps you play the game, helps you fuel your ship or repair your ship, but should not be the way that you get the most important items in the game.
My big takeaway here is that there is an emphasis on UEC, not for everything, right? It's been years and it's just boring. It needs to be a tool in our toolbox, but we need more than just that, right? Now they talk about loot and what's wrong with it and what they're doing to improve it.
Talking loot here, what are the rules? How do we decide what goes into loot and where?
Okay. Well, I think anyone who plays games enough kind of knows what to expect from loot, and we're not going to reinvent the wheel there. But for a long time, loot was owned by individual content designers, so it got a little bit inconsistent. And an initiative at the start of this year, I've taken it over as a systems designer to try and get things back to consistent again. and hopefully you'll notice that in it was a line, was it Mine to Align and the most recent Stormbreaker.
Maybe good to mention we are also making it like an active effort to go back through some of our old locations and update them sort of to snuff. Obviously there's no date on when that is or when that's going to finish, but it's something we are trying to do to make sure we be consistent. Like, and that will be done using the new kind of extension to the system that Jacob's currently working on, which makes it easier for us just generally to set up loot, to place loot, but also to define locations. So you'll start seeing like differences between Stanton and Pyro through loot.
Yeah, so a lot of what Luke has said is things that we're already doing. We're trying to make each location have its own themed loot in some way, but it currently takes quite a lot of manual intervention to make that happen. A lot of inefficiencies in the workflow. So I've been working on some extensions to the system to improve our tools around that and make it easier for designers to set up things in such a way that it can scale to all of our different locations, all our different systems, and grow for the future as well.
Consistency is the thing I really hold on to here, as not trying to do things differently from what we already know from other games. Good on them. Then we hear about Wicklow and what they plan to do to fix the interaction with barters.
So what are the limitations of this system? So we know it's not precisely how we'd wanted it, and there are some peculiarities with elevators and the Wicklow favors and the RNG, which is getting addressed in 4.2.1. Walk me through what's happening now and how we're making Wicklow better in the future.
So one of the big things that I know is going to help a hell of a lot is what we call like nested item turn-ins. So essentially, if you had a 1 SCU box and you put everything in that 1 SCU box, so like I put in my 50 favors and I put in like 20 medals and I put on 10 Copion Tooth and 3 pearls, I should then just be able to put that box on the freight elevator and send it down, and it accepts it and it kind of completes it like that. Now, we don't currently have that. There's a bug, like it should work, but there's a bug that's stopping it from being worked, and it's something we're actively looking to fix. And another thing is what we call multi-location drop-off. This is essentially, instead of having to go to a certain Wicklow Emporium to do the mission when it's generated, we're going to be having it so that you can accept it and turn it in at any Wicklow location.
Now, you probably noticed we only really touched on one of the 3 things, but the other 2 are already kind of fixed. Favors are staying because they turn many items into 1 item, and they already addressed the RNG in the patches, right? But I don't like the freight elevator solution. I don't like the box solution that they talked about. We have an inventory system or a mission tab in our Mobi that should just know what items are in our inventory, and you just use that to turn the stuff in. Putting items down the freight elevator to store it at that location is fine. But after that, I shouldn't have to send it back up and send it back down. That's just really dumb. I think this is a middle ground solution that should just probably not exist, and the freight elevators should be done properly. End of story. Next was my favorite bit of news from the show.
I know there's some conversation about separating gear and cosmetics. Deck, what can you tell us?
Yes. So I suppose most people know right now the way we have to do cosmetics and gear at the moment, like your armors and your guns, is a bit annoying because it's like bound to the item rather than being like a ship paint where you can swap it around. So we are looking to separate out the cosmetics from the gear, and you take it to the crafting terminal. And be like, I want my gun to be whatever skin I have available for it, and it won't be a physicalized item either. The paint won't be physicalized. Ships eventually transitioning to not be physicalized either. The paint aspect of them. So that'll be a nice improvement.
And something we'll hear more about, obviously, when we get closer to the stuff.
I have personally begged for this since like 2015 and the Redacted podcast. It comes down to how they do it. They did say separate, but they did not say remove your purchase of the item itself. Also, they did not say if you lose that, you have a blueprint to recraft it. We know the insurance system was designed to deal with this, and we know the insurance system is still something they're doing. So what's going on with that? Has it changed? That was exciting, but also there's so many red flags there. You know, the guy who's doing the item insurance system is the same guy who's doing this. So he has to know that, like, these things contradict each other, but I don't know. Now we get into the new inventory UI, and let's start with something we have needed for a while.
Kind of the most interesting aspect to me isn't super obvious straight away, and that is that you will be able to access other inventories that are nearby to you within proximity. So if we start drawing, we imagine we've got our storage box over here, and then we kill the guy. Yeah, thank you. We kill the guy. Here he is. He's on the floor. So he would be accessible as one of the tabs up here, and then the inventory box would be over here, same on the other side. And so when you press I to access the inventory, you can then access the dead bodies inventory, access your storage box. You can start moving stuff around without having to directly go up to the body, go up to the box, press F. So it's much quicker to kind of get in there and start looting.
Proximity looting is great, period. Nothing else to say there. Then Declan spends some time telling us what all the icons do.
If you wanted to see what is in your backpack in particular, you have these side tabs, and then we have a search function which has been added in. If you were to click this, a search box would come out over here, and you can search the item that you want. You have your select all, your opacity, you have your filters. These filters are kind of similar to Freight Elevator, where you have the drop down box with the subcategories here, and we're working on these filters being multi-purpose. What I mean by that is, at the moment, filters, you click them once and it means I want to see these items. If you were to click them twice, it would hide that category of item. And there's a lot of people with Freight Elevators full of decorations they don't really care about at the time, so they can just hide all the decorations if they want to. Clear filters, sorting options. When crafting comes in, this will be big because you want to sort by quality, items here, that kind of stuff. And then tucked away in the corner is stack all, so that's a nice quality of life addition as well.
Search is great, and obviously stack all is everything. Now everything must be able to stack, right? A lot of things don't. I think I saw weapon stacking there, so hopefully that's the case. Now, for my least favorite part of the update.
As you can see, looking at the inventory, everything's a square now. Instead of it being a mix of squares and long rectangles, that'll also be applied to the freight elevator, so the ship guns won't take up half the screen. You get a lot more information available to you. We have the equipment panel, where I know I just said they weren't rectangles, these ones are, but regular weapons aren't, so I'm technically true, but also lying. You can equip your attachments super easy here. The 1, 2, 3 is basically like the slot they're in, and then again, if you were to look at your ammunition, you can see which weapon it's viable with. If we go over to the character, we have all the slots. The slots would be shown by default here, and they're contextual, so if you want to quickly see all the backpacks you have available to you, if you were to click the backpack slot, then the various inventories would filter to only show the backpacks.
I think this just shows how cluttered the UI is, but there was a lot of good here too. The backpack filter is nice, but I will always hate the third-person fake paper doll inventory. There are a million examples of how games do this better, and they just refuse to do those. And lastly, a much-needed update on the tooltips.
We have the new tooltips, which are very nice. Rather than being text, we have bars. You've got a bit of info here. When we have crafting, then the crafting, the person who made it would replace the manufacturer. So it's crafted by whoever it was crafted by. We have taken into consideration wear and tear with integrity and durability. And I suppose you know there's more than 3 stats on a weapon. So if you were to right click and details, you get the full view with the scroll bar, the attachments, description which can be expanded. If you hover onto an item of the same type, you'll see the comparison stats as well. You can make the icons bigger or smaller. If you've got bad eyes, you can make them a bit bigger. Elliot, don't make a joke about it. The thumbnails as well, obviously there's a problem where sometimes they don't load, or sometimes they appear as holograms. That's been worked on as well. We'll get that fixed.
I love the crafted thing. That's really sick. And just the compare tool with the bars and everything will come in handy big time. So really good episode. Lots of good information. Really enjoyed it, but still some red flags with this crafting and inventory thing. and I will not stop on that. It's just, I see so many problems with it. But with that, let's move into other updates. All right, and as always, we started with sneak peek. Apparently, this is more Meteor, it seems. I don't know, Jared seems to really have hyped this thing up, but it looks like just another fighter to me, so not sure what is super special with this yet. Even if this is a different ship, it's more just combat stuff. So, I don't know, but yeah. To me, I think combat balance and tuning is what makes the game exciting, and not just another ship. So let me know what you think on this thing, but obviously they need to keep selling stuff, so it is what it is. Foundation Festival is basically the same thing as last year, just a little thing to highlight the guide system. If you participate in these, you get teal skins that should be available to you. If you didn't complete some from last year, you can get them this year. There is also a free fly and a discounted starter pack. I would legit consider telling someone to pick up the cutter for $51 US. That is a decent starter at near Aurora price, which is not a decent starter anymore. But because of the free fly, my server experience has been horrible, absolutely horrible. And this goes for everything. It goes against everything this year. So let me know in the comments what you've experienced, but this is not the year of stability, right? Just period. Subscriber update. This one is fitting for the event, as it coming for the $10 sub. We have plushies shaped like SCU containers. I feel like I recall these as reputation rewards for cargo in CitizenCon 2023. Nope, I was wrong. It was the $20 sub reward that was listed there, a 32 SCU collectible container with all of the companies in the verse that do logistics. There's a package that has 2 of the subscriber, both things as well. But yeah, let's unpack this. 2 years ago, we were excited to know that reputation was going to play a role in the game, even if it was little rewards given like this. But now those same rewards that we were led to be excited about are now being sold. The hits never stop coming from these guys. CIG, do better. Please do better. These would have been perfect rewards for these events instead of selling armor that people can't lose. And that's where I'll leave this episode, on a salty negative, I guess. So mostly positive things, though. Love the Wicklow changes. It's going to be really exciting to just play the game in that way using that system. But outside of that, lots of good stuff in SCL, lots of rambling in SCL as well, and we'll see what comes of it. So that is where I'll leave you guys. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, wish me my voice back, and that'll be fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I might not catch you guys next week. I will be on vacation. I'm going to do my best to record the video. The quality, no matter what, will be lower, and that's just what it'll be. I will not have my nice 4K camera there, but we'll see how audio is and video and all that other stuff. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next week.